Hello, this is the unnothinging of this club because it's an unnothinging because it doesn't come in anything, it just comes like this. Actually, it comes in a very small plastic cover, but I didn't have the self-control to leave it on long enough to do the video because I wanted to actually play with it, so yeah. Actually, it did come with a small, like I said, plastic cover, but unsmall plastic cover thinging doesn't sound as good, so that's why it doesn't say that in the title of the video. The other reason being, of course, like I said, I've already taken it off. And it's a 64 degree. It's a Dunlop DDH, got a nice black colour to it, as opposed to most golf clubs which are sort of silvery. This is my other lob wedge, which is actually copper, so that's also an unusual colour. It's got an enormous amount of bounce on it. Very hard to show that because of the stuff in my bedroom, but you can kind of see it now here, the enormous amount of bounce on the club. 64 degrees, it's 4 more degrees than my other long wedge, which I'm going to compare it to in a minute by playing different shots, which has 60 degrees, so I'll try and get some slow motion the best I can with this camera, which is unfortunately only 24 frames per second, because I could really do with a fast camera, but unfortunately I don't have one. I'm not going to do a review on this club because I don't particularly know a lot about clubs. If you want a review, you want to go to someone like Peter Finch, who I'll put a link to his channel in the description because he actually knows what he's doing because he's a professional player. I'm not, so I'm not going to have an opinion on the quality of the club. I imagine it's fairly decent because all modern clubs are fairly decent simply because of manufacturing technology, but it won't be as good as other clubs because it is Dunlop and they generally are known for making tyres rather than golf clubs, although they do a large amount of sports equipment. If you're going for golf clubs that are really good quality, you probably want to go for something like Ping, or at least Nike. Ping is specifically for golf, so is hence particularly good. Nike, of course, is also pretty good because it's specifically for sporting. Your arguments like Ping will be better because it's specifically for golf, whereas Nike too busy doing other sports, and then you could say, well, they've got a similar number of employees on the same thing because Nike's a bigger company and there's the same number of employees working on golf products as Ping has entirely. Or you could just argue that Nike's just better because it's better, or because you find they perform better when you play with them. There are millions of arguments for why one brand would be better than another. But generally speaking, Dunlop is not the best brand, but it's got 64 degrees of loft. It's oversize or mid-size, which is what I need, and the quality of the casting or whatever isn't going to affect my game too significantly, so I'm just happy to have picked up a 64 degree wedge, which are quite hard to find, and it was only £10 sterling. So I'm just going to go out in the garden and show you the different performances that you can get at the different lofts. So I've got my practice golf ball glove, which I'm going to try out today, but we didn't see the two clubs to test it out, and a very lazy looking cat, which is just laid out there. Hello cat! Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some footage, 10 shots with each club, and compare the launch angle later. Nice one. So what I did is I got the angles, and this is the shots with the 60 degree. I'm surprised that I got such a low angle. We've got 43 degrees, 46, 42, 47, 53, and they're the only ones I managed. Notice that two of them, 42 and 43, are both under 45 degrees, which is another thing I found quite surprising. The low launch angle may simply be due to the fact that I was moving forwards ahead of the ball and hence de-lofting the shot. I'm not entirely sure, but that's the fact. And here we have the 64 degree. The first shot was 61, which is already higher than the 60 degrees expected from the 60 degree, and we have a 70 degree shot. I don't know where this came from because it's considerably higher than the loft of the club itself. It may have been the way I swung the club. 59 degrees, again, is just around 60 degrees, which makes sense because it being de-lofted, and has 57 degrees, which I think was one of the last few, and then 54, 57, and the average with the 60 degree was a surprisingly low 46.2 degrees, and the average with the 64 degree was a 59 2/3, of a degree. I didn't use a decimal because it goes on forever and I didn't want to put a dot above it to make it recurring, so I just decided to use 2/3 because why not? I mean, I know it's a vulgar fraction, but we don't use base 12 as much as we should. In fact, we don't use it at all. So here we are, but you can see in comparison, 46.2 versus 59 and 2/3. You'd already have different results personally, but there is a definite massive result there. The difference being, of course, actually that's more than 10 degrees difference, which is surprising. I don't know why that's the case. I think it might be because this was the only one that I really hit true. This one here, I don't know if you should be able to see it. Well, it's quite faded. Most of the shots went along this line. We got one slightly higher here, but three of them went along this sort of 46 degree line. As you can see here, this was sort of where most of them went, but you can also see 70 degree, which might have sent the averages off. But I'm quite surprised there's a difference of about 13 degrees there. 13 and so many 6, you can work it out yourself. I can't be bothered to do fraction maths at the moment, but basically it goes considerably higher, in fact considerably more higher, and that's the correct usage of more higher because it's more, if you know what I mean. Considerably more higher than I had expected.